Hello and welcome to the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello, welcome. My name's Rebecca. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer based in Edinburgh, and this is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to cast on in the not too distant future. It has been, I think, 3 weeks since my last episode, so I have a lot to talk about today, and I'm really excited. I was due to film yesterday and I just didn't feel like it. And I felt kind of guilty and I thought, oh, I should really film. And then I woke up this morning very excited to film. So I'm really glad I waited because now I'm here with all my enthusiasm. I am full of beans when the puppy is very excited, we say he's got all of his beans. So today I have all of my beans this morning. What do I have? I have a couple of finished objects. I have a test call. I have a new pattern release. I have some acquisitions. And I'm definitely missing at least 2 whips, but I just couldn't find them. And the dog is asleep downstairs and Sam is working on something quite serious, like something important, so I don't want to disturb them. So we're gonna power through with what we have. And I bet that still takes me most of an hour anyway. And it's fine because there were 2, one's a whip that's not even started yet, it's just the yarn in a bag. And one is a cable project that's been on my nails for a long time and will continue to be on my nails for like a couple of weeks, so I will just show that next time when there's a bit more progress. So let's start with finished objects. Actually, let's start with my pattern release, which is also a finished object. My Torrin scarf came out yesterday, and this is a really lovely little scarflet. Sorry, they've been crumbled up, so they're a bit creased. It has this beautiful stitch pattern, which is a dip stitch, which is where you go down below and you pull through a thread. So that's what a dip stitch is. I've used this in the Cargill sweater, and I also used it in the Alder. They're both dip stitch. With Alder it's actually in 2 colours, so it's actually mosaic, which is quite cool, but this is just 1 colour, and it makes this really beautiful fabric, which the light works. This is Biche Bush Le Gros mohair, which I didn't pay for because I used this yarn for my Lina pattern and they told me to keep the extras, so I have like 4 or 5 skeins of this left over, and I think I used 2 for this one. And if I catch the light right, these are the holes where you pick up, you kind of go through and pick your yarn through, and it makes almost eyelets, which when they catch the light right are very cool. So I took the pictures for this pattern on a really sunny day last week, or earlier this week, and it was so nice. So this is the small version. I just had a look at what other sort of scarflets are and what's like a usable size, and I measured my own Sophie scarf that I wear all the time and tried to make sure that it fit within those size ranges. So this one doesn't, this is like a little one. I learned a hack for how to wear this that I'm sure everyone already knows, but I'm going to show you anyway. So you put it on, and then you take one of like the legs and you tie a knot in it, like not a really tight knot, but you tie a knot, and then you take the other end and you just tuck it through the hole. Did we know this already? I've been doing this for centuries and I'm behind. I don't do a very good job, but like it's a really nice way to tie a little scarflet that doesn't like take up too much space, if that makes sense. So that's how I've been wearing my small one, and I love this yarn and I will consider using this yarn again. It is expensive, so I am hesitant to use it, but I think when I came to this, what I tried to do is there are 2 sizes. The small one is the amount of yarn you need for, it's like a DK weight skein, so like 220 meters, or I think that's 240 yards ish, and the goal was make sure that the 2 of them, designing feels like a stretch to use there, but like consider the yardage of that 1 special skein of DK, or that 1 special skein of fingering, or that 1 special skein of fluff, and make sure that the pattern fits in those requirements. So the small is exactly the size of a skein of DK, and the large, which is luxurious, although I've already decided I think this is going to be my Mother's Day gift to my mum at the end of the month. Mine is in Cardiff Cashmere. First time using it. It's stunning. It's really, really stunning. It is stupidly expensive again, but that was kind of what I thought was like, you have that fancy skein of yarn or you want to splurge. Like, I've never used cashmere before, but I was like, yeah, I'll spend that money on cashmere for like a scarf, because I don't need that much and I can just wrap it around my neck and it's lovely and soft. So that was the goal. It looks quite different actually in the This, weirdly, the mohair is more structured. I guess that makes sense because mohair and silk is very strong. So this to me is light but very structured, whereas this has got much more drape to it, but you can see those pulled through stitches a lot more on that one. And this is a large size. So I love knitting these. I feel like I'm on the fence about accessories. They're really fun to knit up, but they never sell as well as sweaters do. So I don't think I'll ever be like a lot of accessories person, but because they just, like, they take the slot of a sweater or like a garment, which I know will traditionally sell quite a bit more, because for some reason, is that a me thing, or is that a, like, is my brand garments, or is that people don't want to knit scarves, or are there a lot more scarves? I don't know what it is, but all that to say, I don't know how I feel about doing more accessories, but I really enjoyed doing this one, and I really miss the stitch pattern. I mentioned in the last podcast that the test knit was challenging in the beginning because for me, I just knit this and went and then just wrote up how to do it. But some people in the test knit just completely got the written instructions, but I ended up going back and adding a video and working with an incredible technical drawer who drew some illustrations to put in there as well. So that was really cool. It challenged me to put in different methodologies. Oh, there's a chart as well. So it's now, I've added a chart. I was like, what other visual aids can I add to this? So there's now a drawing, a chart, and a video. But once you get through the first like 12 rows, that's all that's challenging. It's just getting the pattern established. And then after that, you don't need to look at the pattern, you just knit. And similar to the Sophie scarf and the other scarflets, I opted to have like a rounded edge here, and that is done by working a little bit without any, like, you increase and then you stop and you work some straight and then you start decreasing, so it's not like straight away. But if you were working with limited amounts of yarn, you could just work to halfway, and it would just mean you have like a slightly pointier edge. And that's what I did with this one. I used a little bit more than 400 meters because I had 4 skeins of cashmere, and I was like, I'm not gonna not use all of the cashmere. Like, why would I not use all of it up? So I ended up using the first 2 balls. And what I actually did was, with the last ball, I worked some straight rows. Sorry, I put curlers in my hair this morning, and my fringe, and they went a little bit too hard. They've curled a little bit too much. I'm going to see an ABBA tribute act with my mum and my sisters tonight, so I thought that the curlers would add some volume, but it's not really landed. I'm gonna have to go back on it this afternoon and try and fix this, but that's okay. What's the word? I digress. I was going to say I divulge, and I was like, that's not what I'm doing. I am, but I'm not really. So yeah, that's the Torrin scarf. It's really fun. I really, really enjoyed this. I have a skein of Ching Fibre, who, like, I've never used their yarn, but I don't think I've even bought any more of their yarn, but maybe 3 years ago I bought this Halloween special colour, and I bought a skein of fingering and a skein of mohair, and I've never used it, and I think I'll make one of these because I think it'll be perfect. And like I said, I miss the stitch pattern. So before I keep talking, that is on Ravelry. The link is down below. You can use Torrin Scarf 10 for 10% off, and it went to my newsletter with an extra newsletter subscribers get an extra discount. So if you're signed up to the newsletter, you will get an extra discount. If you're not signed up, it's on my website, and I think I've set it up that if you sign up this weekend, you'll get that email as well. I'm still a little bit new to the newsletter thing, but I think that, like, even if you sign up now, you'll still get that. You'll get the same newsletter. I think I'm gonna look at doing a yoke in this sweater for a yoke in the stitch pattern for a sweater later in the year. I think it'd be so lovely for like November, December time. And my thought is like the yoke in this lace, maybe even staggered, so like it ends shorter for some and longer for others. I don't know. My issue is it can't be charted because the dips aren't very linear, and a few people sent me some emails with how they'd seen this in the past, and I'm going to be honest and tell you I thought those charts made it harder to read than anything else, but I will get through this. I will work something out, and I've got a lot of time for it to marinate in my brain. The other interesting thing about it is that because of sorry, I need to stop playing with my hair. I will stop. I'll preemptively apologise. The gauge, so it's a DK weight yarn, but the gauge is 16 stitches. And it's not, I mean, it is obviously wholly, like there's literally like almost eyelets in it. And if I was to do a DK weight sweater, the yoke and the body would have to be worked at different gauges. And so I'd have to come up with an interesting way. Like my standard gauge for DK weight and stockinette would be 20 stitches and this is 16 stitches. So of like 100 centimetre chest, I'd be missing about 40 stitches if I was to go straight from this into stockinette. So I'm going to work out something because I think I see it as a raglan. If I think about, yeah, I don't love a round yoke unless I can add raglan shaping. Because I don't think they fit all that well, so it'd probably be a raglan. And some point I'll have to do some kind of increases that will make up the stitch count so that my gauge would match for the body. So that's just in my head right now. It's like one of those puzzles that is just, I'm hoping if it just sits in there in my subconscious, I'm gonna get some solutions. I'm not really thinking about it. It's literally just bubbling away in the back of my head. But I love this. I had a really nice time knitting this, and I would say if you like a little scarf or if you like a little gift knit or you have that special skein of yarn that you don't really know what to do with and you want to try a different technique, I love dip stitches. I think they create very soft squishy fabrics because you're pulling those strands through, so you're making like a deeper fabric. And yeah, I had a lovely time knitting this. So that's the Torrin. It's out now. It's on our website. There's a link down below. Okay, let's move on to the second thing, which is what I'm wearing, which I feel like I should have started with, but this is a test haul, so I felt like I should talk about this now. I don't know if that was relevant, but 2 years ago I released the Tolsta tee, which is to date my best-selling pattern by a mile, and I can tell that the weather in the Northern Hemisphere is starting to pick up because the sales of the Tolsta tee pattern are equally picking up. Like March first hit and Tolsta sales went like this, which I love. I love how that is my indicator of the weather as opposed to the actual weather. So I did the Tolsta tee 2 years ago. Last year was the Tolsta tank, and I feel like last year I was very much in my drop shoulder era, and I love a certain drop shoulder, which is, I call it a baby drop shoulder. It's not really what it is, but ultimately I'm wearing it. So usually with a drop shoulder, the drop is all the way down here, and that I still have patterns like that. I love that fit. I think it's interesting. But I feel like for a lighter weight garment, you just end up with a lot of extra fabric. I'm probably too close to show this. Let's see if this is a better, I take that away. That's probably better. You end up with a lot of extra fabric here, and you don't get like a neat fit from that drop shoulder. So what this drop shoulder is the method that's in my stick season sweater. It's in the Lauder, it's in the Lunan, it's in Kip. That is everything. I was really having an era of this, if you can't tell, last year. Is there something else? I feel like there's one more missing. Anyway, is that you don't go quite as far, and then you use short row shaping at the top of the sleeve to like cover that extra space. And so you end up with a drop shoulder, which fits well around the chest. Now this has like zero ease on me, which I can wear on this drop shoulder because of that. So like it means that my sleeves aren't like pulling all really funny. This is called the Lusk tee, L-U-S-K. If you've been watching for a while, I made my first sample of this last year. I'll put a picture of it here. I called it my brat tee all year. Is it here? It must be here because it's not next door. I looked for it yesterday. I have a little corner of like lime green things right up in that back corner, and I think it might be in that pile of lime green, but it's not been warm enough for me to pull it out, so I've not touched it yet. So this is the Lusk tee, and I knit one last year in a week. Like it literally, I took a reel of it because it took me so like little time to knit because it was so fun and a really nice gauge. It is the same gauge as the Tolsta tee, and it is the same sizing as the Tolsta tee, except I've added one size on the small end. So if you were like a size 3 in the Tolsta, you would be a size 4 in this, but the numbers are exactly the same. The gauge is exactly the same. It comes in DK and 4-ply, and it has bust shaping. So it's kind of just like a drop shouldered version, like my favourite drop shouldered version of the Tolsta tee. One thing which I think made the Tolsta so popular are all the customization options, and so when I went into this I was really trying to work out how do I make it as customizable as possible, like how do I offer that ability, which in the raglan is really easy because you're do short rows and then you're working in the round, so you can just start striping or just start lace and just like work it out as you go. Whereas with the drop shoulder in this one, you work the back first and then you work the fronts and then you join in the round. So you have to make sure that whatever you're doing will match up when you join the front and back. And the solution is very simple. Well, I don't know if it's very simple, but the solution is that there are exactly 12 rows difference between the front panel and the back panel, which means that you can do any stitch pattern, which is 12 rows, 6 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, or 2 rows. and it will match front and back. So you have to do a little bit more thought before you go into it if you want to customise. But for example, this version is 6 row stripes. You could do 12 row stripes, you could do 3 row stripes, you could do 4 row stripes, but you'd have to make sure that you're on the same colour when you join the front and back. You could do like 4 of one colour and 2, which I think I'm going to do. You could do a lace pattern, which is 6 rows or 12 rows. The world is your oyster. So that is quite fun. So I've definitely tried to keep that like customization in mind. You can also do some fun things with the back. I've got like a single, it's going to be hard to show this, maybe this side is easier. The black and white doesn't really help. There is a single stitch that runs down this edge, and that is mirrored in a single stitch that goes around the neckline. Again, these are both optional, but you could take that one stitch and you could turn it into a cable or a lace detail or whatever. You could thicken it, you could make it thinner. These are all options. And I'm hoping that I remember we did the Tolsta test, people really ran with their creativity, and I'm hoping this will happen here as well. I'm looking forward to being a little bit inspired by some of the test knitters. I've not cast on my next sample yet because I want to see what everyone else is going to do, and then I'm definitely going to copy someone. That is my plan. I have loads of summer yarn, and like I say, it knits up really quickly. So it's almost exactly the same yardage. If anything, it's slightly more yarn. Or slightly, yeah, like it's literally like 20 meters difference for most sizes of yarn from the Tolsta. And otherwise, it's a very similar pattern in that like all the things I love about Tolsta I've tried to capture in this, but it's a completely different construction. So it's called Lusk because I originally was planning to call it Bosta, because Tolsta is a beach in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland and Bosta is a beach on the same landmass. However, a few Portuguese speakers reached out and informed me that Bosta is not a very pleasant word in Portuguese. So we're scrapping that idea, and instead it's called Lusk, which is a shortened version of Luskentire, which is a beach in the Outer Hebrides. And I like it being like short and snappy, so I could have called it Luskentire, but that felt like a whole mouthful. So it's called Lusk. And the test call is out. The test call is in my newsletter as well. I'm trying to put everything important there, just because then it's just one place for me to put everything. Again, if you are not subscribed and you subscribe this weekend, you should get the same email that will allow you to sign up. This version is Knit and Drops Belle. Is that right? Yeah. I knit my OG, my very, very first Tolsta was before I even started designing, and I knit that in Drops Belle. And then my first sample when writing the pattern was in Woolly Knit Cotton held double. And I've seen so many yarn combinations. So if you also want some like yarn combination inspiration, I think there are a lot of projects on Ravelry, like thousands. So if you want some more yarn combination ideas, you can always look there. Santa's Girl Lena is what I knit my first sample of this in. And yeah, I'm excited. The test knit starts on Monday. It's 10.5 weeks. There's an extra small size, and it goes, yeah, so now it ranges from to fit bust of 165 centimeters, which is lower than the standard sizing, but to keep the even ease all the way up, it's gone all the way down to 65, and it goes up to 162-ish, I think. So very size inclusive, loads of options, fun test knit, hopefully. Pretty straightforward pattern as well. Like I'm not foreseeing I don't foresee many issues with this one, because it is stockinette. I feel like I get myself in trouble with test knits when I try to incorporate stitch patterns into things and make my life harder than it needs to be. So that is my second finished object, my Lusk tee. I did 6 row stripes. I don't know if it's giving Beetlejuice, if I'm honest, this one, but I'm going to wear it anyway. But it might be a little bit like, you know, cartoon jailer Beetlejuice vibes rather than chic. I actually have the black and white t-shirt, which I was wearing whilst I put my makeup on this morning because I don't want to get on this t-shirt, which is a black and white striped t-shirt. Just it was a t-shirt I wear all the time, like a regular knit t-shirt. So this is kind of the vibe I was going for. Okay. Gosh, I still have finished objects. I have 3 more finished objects. Do I need to put this back up? No, I think it's a good place where it is now. Okay, my next finished object is very fun, and I just had fun with this. So I'm teaching a class at Woolly Good Gathering. Woolly Good Gathering is the first weekend of April in Edinburgh. It is my local yarn festival. This will be its 2nd year running. I had such a good time last year. I really, really enjoyed it. and I applied to teach a class this year. I sent in a couple of different classes and they picked the Intarsia one, so I was excited. But I also hadn't knit Intarsia for a while, so I was like, okay, let me brush up a little bit and cast something on. And I just knit my Tolsta tank. I'll put a picture here. I knit a woolly Tolsta tank, which is great and which I've been wearing a lot. So the Tolsta tank was fresh in my mind. I was thinking about this class, I wanted to knit something for this class, and so I knit an Intarsia fluffy Tolsta vest. I'm clearly in my stripe era. So let me talk about this. I knit this in Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool with mohair, and I was slightly above gauge, so I knit one size down. That is the first thing. What I did was I took, so the way that the Tolsta tank, all the styles work is that you knit from the bottom up and then you cast on under the arms and then you start shaping the front. There are three, there's a camisole version, there's a square neck, and there is a vest like this. So the idea behind that being you could just cast on with whichever yarn and decide at a later date like which one you wanted to do. And so instead of casting on that full number and working in the round, I took that full number, I divided by 2 and I added 2 stitches, which I figured I would lose when I was seaming. So I don't know if it was 200, it wasn't 200 stitches, but if it was 200 stitches to cast on in the round, I would have cast on 100 stitches plus 2, so I'd have cast on 102 stitches and worked back and forward. So that's exactly what I did. I knit the ribbing as written, I knit the whole pattern as written, other than that like I worked it flat until the desired length, and then when it came to casting off under the arm, instead of it being like in the round where like you cast off, I don't know, cast off 4, work a panel, cast off 4, work the panel, I started a row by casting off 2 and then I worked to the end of the row, and then the start of the next wrong side row I cast off 2 again, and then I just started, and at that point whichever way I was working, the panels front and back are worked flat, so then I just followed that absolutely to pattern. A few things. One is that I ended up knitting my armholes a little bit deeper because I didn't really think properly, if I'm being honest, that's the honest answer, is I didn't think things through. And so I wanted to make sure that I had a full colour stripe going over the shoulder. And so I knit this section a little bit, I think I added like 2 centimetres, which I knew would make my armhole deeper, but I was okay with that. The Tolsta tank has got a relatively, especially because it's designed for a summer garment, it's quite a fitted armhole. A lot of like fluffy vests or like slipovers have quite a deep armhole because you're wearing a t-shirt underneath it. So I knew that adding like 4 more centimetres to, I think it wasn't even that, maybe 3 to the armhole would be fine. And it absolutely was. And then the ribbing, I also knew that if it was too deep I could add more ribbing, so I was absolutely fine with that one. The same with the neckline. I ended up making the neckline a little bit deeper because of those extra bits, and I just worked the neckline a little bit more, so I think I added like an extra centimetre worth of ribbing. The thing that irks me the most is I wish I had considered that tiny little bit at the front of the collar, this bit here, and I wish I just started it straight away on that stripe rather than have 2 rows. Like, it's literally just 2 rows either way. And it's either like too much or too little. If it was halfway through a stripe, or if it was at the very edge of a stripe, it would be fine, but it just annoys me that it's just those 2 rows. So that's slightly annoying, but I think I'll get over it. The other thing, which is pressing, more of a pressing issue, once I did them, I steam blocked them, and then I seamed up the edges, and that was really easy. I did all the seaming before I picked up for the armholes, and that's my seamed side panel. It wasn't that hard. I don't really like seaming, but it was a very small amount of seaming to do. The bigger issue I have is that it has stretched lengthwise dramatically with blocking. I knit this to, I think, 25 centimetres or maybe 28 centimetres, and I think it's got an extra 5 centimetres on it, which now is, I want it to hit like right at the waist of my jeans, and it is not doing that. So I think I'm going to have to go fix it before really good. So what I think I will do, oh gosh, how am I going to do this? I think I'm just going to do it and hope for the best. I've got a couple of options. Maybe I'll do that. Sorry, I'm just literally talking out loud. I think I don't have a whole lot of red yarn left, so I need to be a little bit careful. That is, all the trimmings were going to be in red, but I ran out of red and had loads of pink, and I was like, well, there's no point in me not doing, like, use the yarn you've got, right? So this is pink, and these are all going to be red, and they're not. What I think I'll do is I think I will undo the seam up until the bottom of this stripe. I will then pick up stitches on this edge of the stripe, and I will re-knit the ribbing and then re-seam up the edges, and I'll do the 2 sets of ribbing flat. I think is my best way to do it. Just to take off that extra 5 centimetres, because I know otherwise I won't wear it, and I'll do that at some point next week. So yeah, that's my Tolsta tank with Intarsia. My class is fully sold out. I'm really excited about it. It's not to do clothing, it's to do a shawl, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But it was nice to remind myself. I find Intarsia quite a frustrating technique because you get tangled, and so it was good to remind myself that like the things I find frustrating, or like the things that I find tricky, so that when it comes back to designing the class and looking at tips and tricks and things, like I had more relevant experience, or not relevant but like recent experience, because it's been my last Intarsia project with my Leaf, which was over a year ago. So that was really nice. I really enjoyed it, and I love the colours, and I honestly think I'll wear it a lot. I feel a bit like a primary school teacher, but I think I'll wear it a lot. I just need to fix that length issue, because I know that'll put me off wearing it. Right now I'm like tucking it into my jeans, but it's quite a bulky yarn, so it just adds a lot of bulk around my waistband, and it's not very comfortable. So yeah, so that's my third finished object. I have 2 more to show. However, if you are a friend of mine whose baby shower I recently attended, who is having a baby at the end of March, stop watching and like skip ahead, because I'm going to show some things I've knit for your baby, and I don't want to spoil them for you. So I have a good friend who's having a baby. It's like the first baby in the friendship group, and I decided I had to go all out and knit a little baby collection, because what else does your knitting friend do if not supply you with baby knits? So the ultimate plan is to have 4 items, and I think I'm going to do teddy bear as well. The teddy bear yarn I think is on its way. I think it's going to arrive today. But I've knit 2, and I got one of my needles right now. So the first thing that I knit, I honestly can't remember what this is called. It is one of the petite knit slipover, one of the petite knit ones. Oh, they don't know the gender of the baby. So I kind of went for like fun neutrals, not neutrals at all, fun brights. That's what I went for. Maybe like the little sister slipover by Petite Knit. It's so cute. Now I'm trying to bear in mind the baby is going to come hopefully in March, maybe in April, but like it's going to come springtime. It's probably not wearing wool again until September, so I tried to make everything 6 to 12 months. I also did gauge swatch for nothing. So we'll see. And also, but I think it's hard because like babies fit different things at different times. So ultimately I think everything is on the bigger side. I wouldn't expect this baby to be fitting any of this until autumn, but that's also fine. And it was getting bigger, and I was like, that's also okay. Like I'm happy for it to be bigger because they'll get to it later. Like if it's too big, they'll grow into it rather than it being too small and they wear it once and never wear it again. So this is the first one. These are so fun to knit. This knits up in an evening. It's really great. And listen, I know Petite Knit gets a lot of snark sometimes because she's so popular. I don't really have very much beef with Petite Knit. I think she does pretty good things. I think her sizing is a smidgen off fully inclusive, but I noticed that she's going back and re-releasing older patterns in bigger sizes, and I appreciate that. So yeah, that was the Petite Knit one. My plan is to make a long-legged version of this, which I'll put all the names below of what I'm doing because I can't remember what they're called. This is definitely a Petite Knit one though. And I know that the bear is called Vera, Vera. So yeah, this is the first one, and then I'm gonna do a sage green. It's quite a bright sage, but it's a sage green like long-legged version of that, which is not by Petite Knit, it's by someone else, but I'll put them down below. I couldn't do it without freestyling my own pattern. So this is a baby stick season. Oh, it's so cute. God, this makes me so pretty. Look at that. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I absolutely 100% freestyled this. One of my testers made her baby a stick season, so I knew it would look good. Like I'd seen one before, but it is just so cute. Oh, so I didn't do the folded collar because you want like a whole baby head to fit in there, and oh my gosh, it's adorable. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I think I'm going to write up some baby patterns. I'm going to do, so the reason that I work with my current tech editor is because she is the person that was referred to me when I was looking for someone to grade. I don't have a baby, I don't understand how grading works for children. My Cargill, which is my only pattern which comes in baby sizes. And I think I'm just going to drop her a list and be like, when do you, if you ever have a lull Like here are the 5 patterns in like in baby sizes. And then once I've got them all, I just want to test it for them all at the same time. Stick season is definitely getting baby size because look how cute that is. Oh. This is also like this is a large child. This is not fitting like a baby. So I'm expecting this to fit them. I don't know. Maybe it's a big baby. I don't know. And then I'll go straight into a whip, which is a cardigan, which I think is free on Ravelry. I don't really know. I will say I think it's making the sleeves very tight very quickly, but this is it. This is the sleeve. That feels like a very... You meant to decrease. It's a free pattern. You meant to decrease every 4 rounds, which is what I'm doing. But like that's already tiny. And I think the sleeve still needs a bit more length. So I might have to, that's why it's currently not been finished, because I need to work out what to do with the sleeve. I might be ripping the sleeve back. But it is a bit boring in this plain beige. But I wanted to like pull it all together, and what I have is I have a button, like a selection of buttons, and I've got one in this colour and one in this colour and one in the sage green. So it's going to have all the colours, which is cute. So it's just a plain cardigan. I think cardigans are meant to be better for babies because if they're sick or whatever, you have to take off. It was fun. It's all, the button band is integrated, which I quite like because they just pick up buttons at the end. And yeah, it's just looking very cute. Again, I can't remember what size I picked. Whichever size I had enough yarn for, basically. So yeah, that is the last, it's just in this little cute bag. That is the last of my baby knits that's currently, I ultimately have 1 a week scheduled. So I have the cardigan to finish this weekend, which is fine. And then next I'll start the long sleeve baby grow thing. And then I might also start the bear this week because I think it could be really cute in that yarn hour today. And the bear does not, it uses like 150 grams, so I don't think it'll take a lot. And I think it'll be quite involved, but in a fun way is what I'm hoping. The goal is that the baby, well, the goal is to finish all the clothes first so I can get them wrapped up so I could probably get them sent away. And the bear could always get sent later. And I thought I could knit the bear a little t-shirt or a little jumper using all the colours of all of the 4 other garments. So yes, that's my baby knitting. I don't really do a whole lot of baby knits. I don't really have that many friends who've had babies recently. And this is kind of the first of all like our close friends. This is the first one. So it's been quite nice. And it's quite nice because she's very crafty. She does some knitting, she does a lot of quilting. I think of our friendship group, like we went to her baby shower and like one of my friends is painting her a plate and her sister gave her like a quilted play mat, and when we went away at the end of last year she was making like a quilted rattle ball. So like the baby's going to be surrounded by a lot of handmade things, and it makes me feel like, it makes me really want to give something because I know the baby will, like the parents will appreciate hand knits, but also like it's a baby wrapped up in lots of people's handmade love. So I feel like it's someone that's it's already a knit worthy baby because it comes from a very creative family, which is lovely. So yeah, that's it. I probably should have somehow told my friend who may or may not be watching that this is now safe to come back, but if you're back, hi Josie. Hope I didn't spoil that. Okay, what do I have? I technically have one more finished object, but it's not a fully finished object, but I'll show it to you anyway. And then I've got 3 works in progress and some acquisitions. Where are we at? Half an hour. We're doing well, we're doing well. So my next pattern to come out is a pattern which I started last year. It is called Tydes. I actually have, this is the one benefit to never tidying up, is it, what is that? Oh, it's my leftover yarn. Is that I always have things close by because I never tidy them away. So this is the Tydes sweater. I tested this, like the full test that happened last year. It's got this really fun wavy stitch pattern. It is kind of based on a feather and fan, which is or old shale, which are very classic, very well done lace patterns. But what I did was I have worked out the way to do the stitch pattern, which does not require you to have holes. So it's a solid fabric, but it is all done with increases. It's kind of done with the way you would do lace, which is quite cool. The pattern comes with a sweater and a cardigan. I knit a cardigan sample last year, but I don't really like the colours I picked, and I wanted to refamiliarise myself with the pattern again for it to release this year. And I decided that I wanted to make it in like ice cream colours, I guess. So this is my cardigan version. It's going to be a nightmare to hold up because it doesn't have any buttons on it yet, and it is in alpaca, so it has like 100% drape. How fun is this? So the original sample is in Santa's Garn brushed alpaca, which is like a thick alpaca yarn, and it is great. I think testers also use drops brushed alpaca, and I think it's a really nice yarn to use at this time of year because like it's that little layer of warmth. It's not, you know, it's not cotton or linen, so it's got a bit of warmth to it, but it's not heavy, so it's really easy to like chuck in a bag and throw on when it gets colder in the evenings. I mean, I live in Scotland, it's cold all the time, but if you live in a place where it's starting to warm up, it's good for the evenings. But I wanted to use a different yarn for my second sample, and I ages ago bought some yarn from Tribe, and I bought some yarn which was Kaos alpaca, Kaos yarn brushed alpaca, and these are the colours that I bought, and I'm using it with a plain skein of Santa's Garn Tinsel mohair because I had that dash already. And these are the colours I used. So I'm holding all of them double. They are like a lace weight. These are like lace weight. So whilst the other alpaca is a thicker one, these are not. These are lace weight. So I'm holding it double, and I have loads of this left. So if anyone has suggestions on what to do, I thought I would use a lot more of this. I should weigh this thing. It does. It weighs nothing. It is so lightweight. So I don't. Should I do like I don't know, maybe a Tolsta or something with these? Maybe a Tolsta. Story of my life. The reason it is not done is because I have finished knitting the sleeves. However, because I decided to do, what is it, 6 colours? Are you ready for this? I have a lot of ends to weave in. I realised this, over 100 ends. There are 20, not quite over, almost 100 ends, I think. There are 24 stripes per sleeve. There are 2 ends per stripe. And there are 2 sleeves. So that is just shy of 100 ends to weave in, and I'm planning to make a video out of it to put on Instagram because Instagram likes reels, and the only reason I've not done it yet is because I've not, like, that requires me setting up a space to film doing that in, so that's the only reason it's not been done so far. But I love this. I really am excited. It doesn't quite feel warm enough to wear it with, it's really still cold in Scotland. It's like 5-6 degrees. It is still jumper weather, but I know I'm going to get so much wear out of this in the spring. Also because just look how fun the colours are. I love the bright orange, and I love that it's not all pastels. The pattern, like I said, will come with a cardigan and sweater, and it comes with a Belle sleeve or a sleeve with decreases. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. It was so fun to knit. I love this. I am considering, I'm looking at it right now. There's a swatch on my swatch board of this in a summer weight yarn at a lighter gauge, and I'm still pondering a Tydes tee and a Tydes vest. I think they'd be so fun for summer. So that might come this summer. I need to make up my mind by, I think I have 3 weeks to decide what my final summer pattern will be, and it might be this and it might be something else. So I need to do some swatching next week to make my mind up. But yeah, that is my Tydes. So it will come out probably for the next podcast, which I think will be 3 weeks from today. And I will have blocked this and it'll be ready to be shown. I'll probably be wearing this, and I'm very excited. And I get messages for this pattern quite regularly since I decided to not release it, so I'm looking forward to it finally being out in the world. It's nice to have a thing that is already done, and it's also made, it's weird because I'm obviously not running a test knit for it, so test knits do take up, like, in terms of admin, I feel like test knits are probably the bulk of where my admin goes, and usually, I mean, sometimes I'm running like 6 test knits at once, so it's been like a weird break. Actually, yeah, right now I'm only running 1 test knit right this second, which is weird to me. I think in December I was running, I had Kintra DK 4-ply, I had Staffin, vest, I had like 4 versions of Staffin, right? I had like vest, 3 vest, so that was at least 5 test knits in December. Yeah, so that, I think at one point last year I was running 6 or 7 at once, and now I'm just running 1, which is the Kathy Cardi, which will come out after that. So those are all of my finished objects. So I have 3 works in progress to show you, and a little bit of acquisitions. Let's start with my most boring work in progress, because I've made very little progress since last week, or last time I filmed it, but I am working on a design. I'm working on my autumnal designs. I will say, I feel like, I'm quite glad this has happened, because I think I've been very vocal about how I feel like everything I am very much a work in progress as a business, and so I'm always trying to do things to improve. So for example, the Lusk tee that's coming out, we've added an extra small size, great. Oh, test knitting, my amazing partner, he did something for me in the very beginning when I first started doing test knits, which is a way to count applications, but it was something I was struggling with because it wasn't a fixed system, and also like if people applied to my test knit, I needed to add a note to say that I was keeping their email to track how many times they'd applied to. Because my emails are now all going out in the newsletter, I can keep a count against those emails, and that can be integrated with my system so that like I know that if someone unsubscribes from my newsletter list, they've also unsubscribed from my tester list. But what I can now do ultimately is keep track of who is applying regularly to test knit, keep track of who is test knitting, and the goal is that with every single test knit, people who have not test knit before and who regularly apply, like, it's not necessarily that, but if people apply like 3 or 4 times and they've never been picked for no reason, just because there are lots of applicants, they'll go to the top of the list. I've also started asking people for their how they would rate themselves in terms of ability, because I think I have a lot of repeat testers, which is lovely, and I'm really glad that they want to keep testing for me. But I do think it means that they get familiar with my writing style, and it means that people who are like more beginner or aren't familiar with my patterns, then if they purchase the pattern and they're not like used to the way I write, then we miss things that we could have got in testing if that person was in the test knit. So I'm basically just trying to make my test knits more diverse. We've made them longer, so they're now 14 weeks for winter patterns and around about 11 weeks for summer patterns, which is good. But the next thing is to make them, the selection process, more effective. And so Sam has written this, and it's funny because he keeps calling it Pearl Pool, and I told him that there's a testing platform called Yarn Pond, and he still came up with Pearl Pool. But it's this piece of code that he's written where ultimately I can upload my CSV, or like my list of everyone's applied to the test knit, and then it will give me numbers against it, like how often they've applied, if they're a regular tester, etc. And then I can hopefully pick with a more holistic view, because right now it's hard to pick testers because I get lots of lovely tester applications and I want to make sure it's as fair as possible, and also that people, it's like diverse and I'm covering bases in terms of experience and familiarity with my own patterns. That was another, I clearly have not been podcasting for a while because I've got lots to share. I'm just chatty, but that was that. What I was saying is, I think what's quite nice is that it's still freezing right now in Scotland, and I do not feel really like knitting summer knits. I've just cast out my first summer knit. The sun is starting to come out. It's starting to feel like spring, and I'm starting to feel good about summer knits. But for the past sort of 6 weeks, honestly, I've been working on, for most of this year, I'd say, to date, I've been working on winter knits or autumn knits, and that's for next autumn, which means that the patterns can get written up and they can be ready to go. It means I can give full 14-week test knits, and it also gives me some breathing room that if something's not sitting right with me, I can rip back and I'm not like stressing about, oh, but I have to get to testing to get out this season. I don't need to worry about this season. I can worry about, you know, I'm at this point, I have every, pending that summer pattern that might be a Tydes tee, that might be something else, I have every pattern mapped out until the end of the year, which is kind of fun, and hopefully means that I can be more organised and that I can release better patterns. All that to say, I have 2 whips to show you, which are winter knits, although I've still not decided what order they're going to come out in. I've got a provisional order. This is my Henley. I mentioned, I think last time, that I need to fix the collar, and I still need to fix the collar. I've not fixed that yet. This is the Henley, and I have made quite a lot of body progress. I did quite a lot of knitting on this. So this is the saddle shoulder. It is half fisherman's rib, and it is, I love this thing. I think it's so nice. My only downside is that I'm going to finish this when it starts to get too warm in Scotland, so that I'm not going to be able to wear it, which is going to drive me a little bit loopy. I want to fix, as you can see, these are a little bit too tight, so I'm going to take these off. I think I'm going to lengthen the collar as well. I want to have like a shallow collar and a high collar, and right now this is kind of in between the two. So I think I'll add a bit more to the ribbing before I fold it, and we'll make this a high collar. Maybe I'll keep it this way. TBD. I think I'm going to finish knitting the whole thing and then try it on again and decide the collar at that point. So yeah, it's got saddles, which I just love. I think saddles are so cool, especially in half fisherman's rib or like in a rib, because it's such a strong line, if that makes sense. I think I talked about this before, but my original plan was that this was going to be contiguous, which my Rue sweater is a contiguous, and it's quite cool because it's kind of like you work the saddles as you go and you like do increases as you go, but half fisherman's rib plus saddles, sorry, half fisherman's rib plus all those increases, I just knew the pattern would be a nightmare to grade and horrendous to follow. So I changed it for saddles, and I'm really glad I did, because the saddles are way more straightforward and look really cool. I just love how they look at that. So it is a set-in sleeve. So the saddles, sometimes saddles end all the way down here and you get like a drop shoulder effect. It's not, it's going to end here, and then there's going to be some shaping to shape that sleeve. quite a classic fit. I'm kind of in my set and sleeve year. I'm enjoying the fit of a set and sleeve. I like how professional it looks. The plan with this is that I'm going to do, there will be 2 versions. Of course, why would there be any fewer than 2 versions? Why are there not 50 versions? No, there will be 2 versions, and one will be in half fisherman's rib and one will be plain stockinette. So there will also just be a plain stockinette version. I'm already envisioning my version is going to be navy blue with white stripes. Or maybe white with navy stripes. No, navy blue with white stripes. I forgot how much. I've already ordered the yarn. The yarn is already here. It's been here for a while. Yeah, so it's going to be the same but without the half fisherman's rib. I love half fisherman's rib. It's so rhythmic. It's just a flow. It's just a flow. And I, again, mentioned this before, I knit my half fisherman's rib inside out. So I knit, my sweater's just like this, but instead of like picking it up and knitting it like this way, I just knit it this way so that the outside is facing out and then the inside is facing me. There are 2 ways to knit half fisherman's rib. One is knit into the stitch below, and that is the way I learned when I first did it. My first time doing it was when I knit the first tee or the first sweater by Lizzie of Hive Knits. But the way that I did it for my Lanark and the way I prefer to knit it is, I mentioned before, I keep saying this today, I mentioned before, I don't have very good purl tension. My purls are really loose and I can usually just, it doesn't really, I usually just work around how I use a different needle size when I'm working flat, etc. But with this method, you are doing more knitting than purling. So what I do is I slip one with yarn over on the purls, knit one, and on the next round I like knit the 2 strands together. So instead of knitting below, I'm slipping in between, and that means that I have less purling to do. So I only purl, 1 row is knit slip, and 1 row is knit purl, and it means that I'm doing less purling, which means that the overall impact on my gauge is less, and it's my preferred way to knit this. I just like it more as well. I don't really like knitting to the stitch below. I don't really know why I don't like it so much, whereas I do enjoy slipping with the yarn over. There's a very, very good article on this, which I'm going to make sure to include in this pattern, because I've had over the, like, Lanark came out 2 years ago now, and every once in a while I get a message being like, hey, you said you knit inside out, like, what is that about? And so I send this article, and it's a really good one that explains how to knit half fisherman's rib the 2 different ways. And I love it. It looks to me, it's a bit like, it's half brioche is the other term for it, so it's very squishy. It uses a lot of yarn. And the yarn I'm using is Laxtons Sheepsoft. Again, I waxed lyrical about Laxtons in the last episode. It is a mill in the UK and they mill a lot of yarn for hand dyers. I'm pretty sure they mill Saunders yarn, Le Garçon. Most of the BFL Masha mixes you get in the UK are from Laxtons, and they do a lot of dyeing, a lot of milling, and actually some dyeing for commercial brands. But they also have their own range, and this is Sheepsoft, which is a BFL Masha mix. It's really nice and woolly, but it's not scratchy, which is lovely. So yeah, this is the first one, and I'm not in a huge rush with this, but I think the way I organise my knitting is that I use Gantt charts, which is like a progressive way of tracking things, which I used to work in tech, so it's not a surprise that's where it comes from. And I have a tab. This is my holy grail of planning is this Gantt chart, which is called my release timeline. The only person it's shared with is my tech editor. And I have down one side all my patterns. Across the top I have weeks, and then on the first page is my pattern release. So it will have the release day, and then it will have all the colours, like all the weeks blocked out for the test knit, and then all the weeks blocked out for the development. So I know then, like, okay, if I'm starting this new, that's why I'm saying I have 3 weeks to decide on the Tydes thing, or my last summer pattern, because I know when the test needs to start to make sure it gets out by a certain date. My second tab then is my knitting schedule, and this is what tasks I need to finish each week in order to make sure that I don't fall behind with the project. And usually it's like yoke, back, sleeve, button bands, and for this it's like body 10 centimeters, body 10 centimeters. So I've done 20 centimeters of the body. I will bind off this. I think I'll do regular ribbing for the body of this, for the bind off. So the body will be finished next week, and then I get to start the sleeves. It's not that far away from being done, but it's not a priority because there's no pressing need for this. It's going to be a later in the autumn pattern. but I'm excited. And I'm considering, opinions very welcome, I'm considering speaking to my tech editor about grading it to a woman's and a men's size chart. So in the past I've got a few patterns like Stick Season and Lanark which have been popular with men, and I've just added notes on how to adapt it for men. But it might be worth us having a look at, like, is it worth having a whole version of the pattern for men, and making sure that's tested, because I think it's quite a masculine shape. The saddles are generally, I think, seen in quite a lot of men's wear. The half fisherman's rib, like, I think it's going to look like quite a men's wear design, and so I wonder if it, we might have, I think it might be worth comparing the size charts, like a standard size chart for women against men, and seeing if it's worth offering it in a whole other, like a whole men's sizing. Last one, no, two more. Okay, this one I'm excited about. This is my current, this is my favourite whip. And I had a bit of a decision crisis about it, so I didn't get much work on it for a little while, but I think I'm past my crisis. So, I have no idea where it is. It's over there somewhere in that big pile of stuff I have to tidy. I showed a while ago a raglan colourwork design that I was working on with like a checkerboard tartan-esque pattern, and talked about how I didn't like it. But I still have, like, I still want this raglan colourwork, is still very much in my mind. So I was pondering what that was going to look like. I did some swatching, I showed the swatch last time, and at this point I've just cast on with Wild Abandon, and I have the bulk of a sweater. Make sure it's the right way around. It's on a small cable, so apologies in advance for that. It's also stuffed in a bag, which is far too small for it. So this is what it's looking like. And it has these two colourwork motifs that like play off each other. So there's like a big one and a little one, and it's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's going to have 4. The sleeves will have 5. The background is this grey, and then it has these like beautifully autumnal colours. I am calling this Affric, A-F-F-R-I-C, which is a beautiful part of Scotland. There's an incredible walk there. There's a really nice woodland, and this is giving me woodland vibes, like woodland walk in the woods in autumn. I love it so much. I really like it. The fit is really good, and I'm not decided on the collar. I might fold the collar, I might leave the collar up. I like both, so I'll decide that at the end. And it's just really easy colour work. It's technically a 4, like one is done over 4 stitches and one is done over 6 stitches. So once I get going on the round, I just need to be like, oh yeah, 3 brown, 1 white, 3 brown, 1 white, and I just knit the whole round about that. So sometimes with more complex colour work, I'd put like a stitch marker between every repeat. I don't have to do that with this. It's really straightforward colour work, and I really like it. I've chosen to do 4 colours. So the grey, the brown, the cream, which I think is called Oats, and this dark, it's like a very dark grey. This is my grey. But you could also do the main colour as that middle colour. So you could just do 3 colours if you wanted. What am I using? I'm using, so this is where my wobble came from, because I am very aware that this is currently a stupidly expensive sweater. And I can justify it because I do this for a living, and buying yarn is a business expense, and buying yarn because the pattern is an expense is fine. But I was a bit worried. It's a 17 stitch gauge, it's a bit of a thicker sweater as opposed to like a DK would normally be like 20 stitches. I'm using Gepard Pura Lana with mohair. Now Gepard Pura Lana alone is not very inexpensive, and I'm adding mohair, so I know this is an expensive sweater. I don't mind making an expensive sample, especially if a yarn I really like, and I really like this yarn. I used this yarn for my Tolsta tank and loved knitting with it and loved the fabric so much that that's why I bought more. But I do want to make sure that my second sample is done in a more affordable yarn, because I don't think it's reasonable to have only this as the yarn suggestion. But I was looking around, and there are quite a lot of patterns, like colourwear patterns, that are popular that use this gauge or like a similar gauge. I think, what am I thinking? Maybe Rauma Phenol for my second sample. Maybe drops. I did order some drops to try when I was considering whether or not I considered starting over with a smaller gauge basically, but I decided I'm going to stick with it. But yeah, if anyone's knitted that gauge before, but these are the colours I'm using, and they're so lovely, and I really like this sweater, and I'm going to wear this a lot. But yeah, my only issue with it right now was that the first wobble I had was, are are the bands too far apart and should I make them closer together? I don't know why that was, but in my head I was like, oh no, I'm paralysed with the decision. And then secondly was, yeah, is the yarn off-puttingly expensive? Possibly yes, but that's okay as long as I offer, and probably, I mean, I'll knit my second sample on something that's not as crazy expensive. And nobody tell me how expensive this yarn is. I don't want to know. I don't actually want to know. I ordered the yarn in 2 separate orders, so I actually don't know how expensive it was, but I know it was expensive. But it's beautiful, and it's wool and alpaca and mohair, which is my ultimate combination. I love alpaca and mohair. It's incredibly soft. I really like the raglans. I don't know if you can tell particularly well, but the raglans have got a little bit of colourwork detail on them, but like not a lot, but like just enough to keep them in pattern. There is of course short row shaping, so it's going to fit really nicely. And my goal for this week, it is Saturday, so is to finish this. I'm just over halfway through this colourwork motif. Is to finish this colourwork motif and then do my next set of plain knitting, which is like 10 rows, 12 rows. So that is the plan. This is in a new to me bag, which I picked up at Unravel. I went to Unravel 3 weeks ago. This bag is too small for this project now, but it's a very cute bag. It's from a company called Little Grey Girl. And I loved it because it's all books, and some of them have got names, so like what's on there, Jack and Jill, The Three Bears, Three Little Pigs, Heidi, The Jungle Book, Fairy Tales, and some of them are just like decorative books, Treasure Island. Anyway, yeah, I like this a lot, and it's a good size for me when I'm not knitting a sweater that has 4 strands of yarn. Like if there weren't 4 and mohair, there are currently 8 balls of yarn plus a sweater in here. It's too big, so I need to switch that out, which is fine actually. Maybe, is this one any bigger? No, I will just pick up a different bag in a second. And then my last work in progress, so yeah, that is that. It is, I think it's going to be an October release, I think. But I'm just chugging away on it right now. It's not written up, but it's all, the yoke is all charted, so the charts are done, and I'm really enjoying it. I like it a lot. I really want to finish it and wear it. Okay, my last work in progress then is a summer knit, and it's coming out pretty soon. Like compared to these, which I'm like, oh, it's gonna come out in October, and it's currently March. This will in fact come out before October. So it is also, might I add, in like the tiniest, cutest little bag. I bought this from Etsy. I don't know who it's from. It is a quilted bag. It's so cute. And it's teeny tiny, like smaller than my head. So this is a summer pattern, and it is a Staffin Lite. So my Staffin pattern, there's a Staffin somewhere around here. My Staffin pattern came out in January, and I knew pretty quickly that I wanted to make a summer version. And it's knit at a chunky gauge. It's also knit, is it 16 or 17 stitches? And what I wanted was to offer a summer weight version, but it means that people could knit the original sweater with like, they could knit it with a woolly wool, or they could knit it with a summer weight fibre. So it's going to come in 4-ply and DK, because here's the deal, I don't really like knitting with 4-ply. It's not really my jam, it's not really my thing. I don't need it for the climate that I'm in, but I am aware that people who want to knit summer knits want to knit 4-ply. So I feel like it's just, I may as well just add it to the pattern. Like it makes sense to add it to the pattern, it's going to appeal to more people. And it's nice to offer summer weight garments at that weight. My version is in DK. I will have a 4-ply version. I may or may not knit it myself, TBD. I'm going to put this on a stitch holder, but I don't have one, so apologies. On a very tight bit of yarn. Sorry, a very tight cable. I am 1 row away from splitting for sleeves. But this is what it looks like so far. Yeah, this is terrible. I should have put this on a cord. I'll at least show you the stitch pattern. This is what it looks like. So it's the same as the Staffin. It's obviously in cotton, so it's looking a little bit, I feel like cotton always looks rough before you block it. But it's got the brocade, and it's got the bobbles, and it's got the ribbing. And I'm using Knitting for Olive cotton merino, held double. So I'm pulling from both ends of the ball, which I never used to do. In the past, I always would have had 2 balls of it. But when I was knitting my Advent sweater, I was pulling from both ends of the skein, and it was so easy, and I was like, why am I not doing this already? So I'm doing it for this, which I'm sure everyone is already doing, but heads up, I'm doing it now too. I'll finish this ball, and then I'll stop into the collar and probably block it. Just double check that everything's looking the way it's meant to look. and it's going to just have the sweater and the vest. So there will not be a cardigan version, but there'll be a sweater and a vest in 4-ply and DK. Sweater, technically a t-shirt. The pattern will be written with short and long sleeves, but my samples will all be summer weight ones. So I'm going to do a vest and a t-shirt. I'm also, for the vest, intending that so this has Estonian buttons in it, which is this fun little faux bobble. You see it there. That you don't work a bobble. So you get to your needle, you put your needle through between the second stitch and the third stitch, and you pull through a loop, and then you put that loop over the back. So you're almost like strangling 2 stitches, and it creates this little bobble. But I don't like knitting bobbles, but I like the look of a bobble, so this is my compromise. It's worked over 2 stitches. So what I'm going to do for the vest, which I'm going to make into like a tank top, because it's going to be a summer weight yarn, is I'm going to sub out that yarn over, knit 2 together. Sorry, I'm going to sub out the bobble for a yarn over, knit 2 together. So I'm going to put lace in it, which I think will just like make it a little bit more summery. I'm going to start the vest today. I've got, again on my list, is the yoke for this and the back panel for the vest. So that needs to get done today. I'm really enjoying this. It's really, really nice to knit up. I've flown through the yoke in like 2 nights because I've just been really enjoying it. And something that's really nice, which I don't know if it'll happen for all sizes, but for my size, there's only one chart to follow, and there's a pattern repeat in the middle, like a boxed repeat. And for the sleeve, like for the body, you knit the repeat. You knit the same chart, but you do the repeat 3 times, and for the sleeve you just do it once, sort of thing. But it means the chart is exactly the same. And like I say, I don't think it'll be the same for all sizes, because some sizes will have compound increases under the arm, but it makes it such a nice knitting experience because you're only following one chart, which is nice. Every section starts in exactly the same way. So I'm really enjoying this. I will split for sleeves probably while I'm editing this video, and then I will start on the other version, the vest version. But I think it's got a lot of wear, and I like the white. I think the vest is going to be navy. That's not even remotely straight, Rebecca. That's the sleeve, that's why. There we go. That is the back, because it's got all the short rows in it. There's the front. So yeah, it has obviously still to get a collar. It's a very wide neckline right now, so still got to get ribbing added for the neckband, but I'm really enjoying it. That will be my next test call after this one, so a couple of weeks until that comes out. I think my next podcast, when I release Tydes, sorry, I've got an itch. When Tydes comes out in the next podcast, I'll also be I'm trying to align, because I'm putting in newsletters, I'm trying to align my test calls and my pattern releases so that you only get 1 email. So I think that's when that's coming out. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for it. I wasn't sure, like it was a vision. Every time I think about this, I have that quote from Michael Scott from The Office. It's like, I have had this idea since lunch. That was me with this. Like, I've had this idea, but I hadn't really seen it in practice. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a light version. I think I'm like pleasantly relieved and happy that it is knitting up the way I wanted it to, which is really nice. That's all my works in progress. Yeah, I have a cable knit sweater, which is in the same state as the Henley, which is that it's getting 10 centimetres a week, but I think it's downstairs, so we'll deal with that. Okay, I have a couple of acquisitions. One was a little bit matte. Okay, yeah, I've got a few things. I've got a few things from Unravel, and I've got some yarn. Deep in my Intarsia phase of my vest, I thought it would be so nice to have a checkerboard Intarsia vest with a zip maybe for spring, and so I bought some, but also in like a fleece style, so I bought some boucle. I think I need an equal level of, like, I was overtaken with enthusiasm. I think I need that overtaking of enthusiasm to happen again for me to cast this on. But I bought the yarn for it. It is Gepard Teddy Bear. It's going to be like a 15 stitch gauge. It's going to knit up really quickly, but I should just get started with it, to be honest. I'm just thinking like this with a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt, just like an oversized fluffy vest, will be very cute. I keep seeing like the cool girls on TikTok wearing like purchased versions, and I was like, oh, I could just knit one. So yes, that is the plan. I don't know if we'll get to it, we'll see. But I bought the yarn, which is like 2% of the effort of the whole project. Okay, let's see what I got at Unravel. Okay, so Unravel was lovely. It was in Farnham, which is my partner's birthplace. I don't know where I actually know if his birthplace. It's where he grew up. I don't think he was born there. I should ask him. But he grew up there. and his parents lived there until they moved back to New Zealand, and he's got lots of friends there, and the baby shower I was going to was there. So I thought I'd wrap up the whole thing by doing baby shower and Unravel on the same weekend. It was a nice festival. It was the first yarn festival I went to, so it was nice to go back. I think that Unravel, well no, I think that the venue, which is Farnham Maltings, attracts a lot of like crafty people of a variety of different mediums, which meant that there was a lot of footfall and it was very busy, but I don't think there were a whole lot of knitters. I think there were maybe some people like dabble a little bit in knitting, but like I feel like when I go to Yarn Festival I see a lot of like die-hard knitters, and I don't think there was a huge number of die-hard knitters there. There weren't a lot of hand knits, which is a strange thing to see, like walking around a Yarn Festival, people wearing a lot of like ready-to-wear sweaters, which is odd to me. And a few conversations with vendors where the footfall was really high, but the sales weren't necessarily as high as they would have expected for the footfall. So that was a little bit odd. That being said, there were still amazing vendors, and I got to spend a really nice weekend there. I got to hang out with some lovely people. I got to meet Marina Skua in person for the first time, who has an incredible podcast and yarn company and makes incredible designs, and I've watched her podcast for years. So that was really nice. I got to hang out with people I already know, like Sophie from the Knit Pearl Girl and Laura Penrose and Anna from Along Avec Anna, and then Anna, who's of the lovely Anna Socks by Laura Penrose. They're very good friends, and it was just really nice to see people sit down, have food, talk, chat, all those things. So I really enjoyed the weekend. It wasn't my best yarn festival, if I'm being perfectly honest. I still bought some things. So I kind of went in with a mentality of like, if I'm getting yarn, I'm going to swatch with it, and otherwise I will just pick up some bits and pieces, and that's exactly what I did. So the first stop was John Arbin. John Arbin are, I think, incredible, and I know a lot of people do a lot of designing with them. I have swatched with their yarn before, but I've never knit anything with their yarn, and so I bought a skein of each of their yarns. So I got knit by numbers. I think I meant to get this in a DK, and this is a 4-ply, but that's fine. This is this, and the colour is 111. I just picked a nice colour. It is 50% BFL, 50% Falkland Merino. I then got their Apple Door DK, which I love because it has all their apple doors it's really good at Heartbeat and Night Winter Show. They're very, you can kind of see it there, they've got a lot of variation in them from like different colours of fibres blended together. This is called Wimple Wonder. 40% Devon Close Wool, 40% Romney, 20% Exmoor Blueface. And then the last one is Harvest Hues, which has stunning colours. This is BFL, Merino and Swartblus. I honestly never know how to say that word. And this is beautiful green. The reason for this ultimately is that I want to use this yarn. I think I like using British wool. I think it's nice to use a yarn that's local to me. I think some of them is really quite expensive. Like some of them is like hand dyed plus a little bit expensive, but some other bases are not that expensive. So it's a good like staple, like commercial, but not, you know, we're not talking like Filcolana level of commercial. We're talking like smaller. That being said, someone that comes to knit night, knit something in the Harvest Hues base, knit a stick season in the Harvest Hues base, and it was stunning, and it pills like crazy. Like I think she said that she puts it on in the morning and by lunchtime it's pilled. So it kind of puts me off wanting to knit with it. So I asked them about this and said like, what's the deal with the Harvest Hues? And they were like, oh, we've changed the base, but we still don't really know because we've not actually tested it. Like we've knit something with it, but we only put it on for shows. So I want to knit with this and then somehow work a way to try and faux felt it to see if it's going to felt as badly, because there's no way I'm knitting a whole sweater if it felts as badly as that one. Now they've changed the base, so I think they've added either the BFL or they added the Swartblus, because before it was more merino. I'm not opposed to pilling, by the way. Pilling happens when you use soft yarn, absolutely, but I want it to pill and then I can shave it and then I can wear it again. I don't want it to pill so much that I can't wear it for a day. So I'll be curious to see if the new blend is any different, but they did also say that the apple door is more structured and more strong, which is funny because it looks very soft and drapey there. But yeah, I love the colours of the Harvest Hues, but I'm concerned about the drape. I'm concerned about the pilling. So maybe apple door is the way to go. But I bought these in case some swatching. I mean, it's not like I've got space for anything on my nails right now, but I thought I'd just keep them somewhere in case I want to do any swatching. The same goes for some yarn from Along Avec Anna. Beautiful colour. It's like a raspberry colour. Is it called raspberry? Oh, it's called praline, which I think of being chocolate. Anyway, it's obviously French, so I could be wrong with that. So this is their mohair, which is mulberry silk and mohair, and then this is their superwash merino. I'm not really a superwash person, but I wanted to get them both to try, and we'll see how they are. They're definitely blowing out a little bit. It's a more saturated colour than it's coming across. But again, I thought it'd be good to have some of this to try and to see what it's like. And I also got some buttons from them, which I've got no idea what my Cathy cardie is, but my Cathy cardie is coming out next, and mine is completely finished and done. My buttons were too small, so I picked up some more buttons from them, which are these beautiful little, are they called shank buttons? Because they're on like a, I think it's called a shank button. They don't have like buttonholes, but they've got like a little loop in the back. And these are very dainty, and I thought would go really well with my, they might be a little bit too white. We'll see. But I definitely need new buttons, and I thought worst case I'll use these in something else. They were quite expensive buttons, but I don't really mind that if they are the right buttons for what I need. And then what else did I get? I think this is my, yeah, I've not opened any of this since I came back, so you can tell that they were all things that I was desperately needing. This is a pin holder, made out of resin, and you have nothing magnetic around, but it picks up pins and things like blocking, my blocking pins potentially, because it's got a magnet in it. I'm sure I just saw, yeah, so if I put, oh, this works. Yeah, so it will hold my stitch markers on the middle there. And all these little bits inside are scrap yarn. So I thought this would be fun for my desk. This is when I was like, I want to buy something, but I don't want to buy yarn. And I also got from them some needle toppers, which I also never use, but they were little dinosaurs, and look how cute they are. Again, will I use them? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, one more thing, my battery's gonna run out. Let me change that over. Okay, the last thing I purchased was like a pick and mix of stitch markers. The Stitchy Maker, and it was like, I don't know, something like 5 for, I don't even know what it was, I can't remember, but they're all just little gemstone stitch markers on round loops, which I love a little simple beginning of round marker. I just use plain gold markers for everything, actually plain silver or gold. These are all just like one distinct beginning of round. There's one more, that was my favourite I think. I just use, I didn't have any, I got like a notion, yeah there we go. I just use like solid round markers for everything, and then it's nice to have like a one distinct marker. So I got those too. So that was everything from Unravel. Like I say, like I had a really lovely weekend. It was a strange it was an odd vibe as far as festivals go, I think. But it was very nice talking to everyone. It still felt like a real community event, which is really nice. I think that's my favourite part of yarn festivals, is like feeling like you're part of something, which I definitely felt like. So that was lovely. And it was a bit of it was like my second weekend away in the month. I was away for 2 out of 4 weekends in February, so I was definitely flagging a bit and like, just get me home. And I don't know, I used to travel the world. There was one point when I went to 12 countries in 12 months in my first job out of uni, and I used to do a lot of travelling. And now I'm just like, just get me home, please. Can I just go back to my bed? It's just age, I don't know, maturity, I don't know what it is, but I was very grateful to have a couple of quiet weekends at home since then. And what else is going on? Any life updates? I'm trying to think. Yeah, really good in a couple of weeks. I'm feeling semi on top of things. I've gotten semi into a routine. We're not quite there yet, but working on a routine, which is nice to get there. And I'm feeling like spring is coming. It's not here yet, but it is coming. And I'm going to ABBA tonight, so you know, life's pretty good. I have a Kaos puppy downstairs, he's doing pretty well. Yeah, I think we're okay. There's sort of stuff going on, but nothing that bad. It's all kind of fine. And I'm just knitting away on all my projects, which I'm having a lot of fun with right now. I'm reading a lot. Utter trash. I'm in a real ice hockey romance phase. So I've read a lot of ice hockey romance. Basically all I read is romance and fantasy romance, which is fine. I don't mind. That's okay with me. Every once in a while I'll, you know, once a month I'll be like, oh, I should read something with substance, and then I'll read something with substance. But I read 2 or 3 books a week, and a lot of them are just trash, but I enjoy it. I'm rewatching Dawson's Creek, and I'm watching a lot of trashy romance movies on Amazon Prime. If anyone's got any recommendations for any of the above, aka any trashy romance books, trashy romance movies, or fantasy romance books, you can send them down below. I'd love to hear them. I think that's all from me. I feel like I've got more to say. I feel like there's more inside me, but I can't think what it is. So I'll wrap up there. Final reminder that the Torrin scarf, where did I put the Torrin scarf over here? The Torrin scarf is available on my website and on Ravelry. And the code Torrin10 will get 10% off. And I'm looking for testers for the Lusk tea, and I'm excited about it. So if you want to test, the sign up forms test is in my newsletter. And I'll put my website down below. That is all. I hope we've had a nice time hanging out. I certainly have. And I'll be back. I think it'll be 3 weeks until I'm back again, because I am trying to get back on a 2-week schedule, but I'm not quite there yet. So I think it'll be 3. I'll be back then with my updates. Probably some new cast-ons, probably some new things. Almost certainly some new acquisitions. I've been spending too much time on the Gen Z TikToks, and I ordered Line Yarns Cloud, which is a colour changing yarn that I just keep seeing people knit with, and I don't know if it's going to be any good. It's got like 10% polyamide, which it's like sock yarn I would never really use. I don't really use non-natural fibres, so it felt a bit strange to order, but I'm obsessed. And I'm going to make a version of this in that. So that's what I'm currently very excited for. I got my email today telling me that it had been advised to the Royal Mail, which means it probably will come Tuesday or Wednesday, and I will be casting on the day it arrives. Anyway, I'm going to go edit this video. I'm going to get myself cozy on the sofa for a couple of hours before I have to go out See, I have to leave my house before I go to ABBA. I'm going to watch the rugby. Tomorrow I'm going to watch the cricket. So all in all, pretty chill around here. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had a good time, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks with more. Bye!